demonic growl? A phantom bump? Who or what wanted me dead? Grab a snack and help us unpack all that and more. It's time for Ghost Files Debrief. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ryan Bergara, and that thing over there is my colleague Shane Madej. Shane. Oh, a nice sip of coffee, huh?
Bad time. Ryan, I want to congratulate you on another great season of Ghost Files kicking off. You and the Ghost Files team should be very proud of yourselves.
Thank you.
What a season, and how fun it is to be back here in spooky season, out there hunting ghosts, just really getting down and dirty with the ghoulies, you know?
That wasn't soaked with sarcasm at all.
No.
Soaked with it. I could have wrung that out with a towel and had a bucket of sarcasm.
I just feel good to be back in the debrief zone. This is my favorite show on Watcher.
Well, it's definitely not going to be your favorite episode because you have a lot to wiggle out of.
No, here's the thing that I have to remind you of every season is that I don't give a shit.
Unbelievable.
I know you're like, oh, we got a lot this season. I guess you're gonna have a lot. And I'm always like, hey man, none of this is real.
This episode we have more than we got perhaps the last season combined.
A lot happened. I'll say this season is pound for pound maybe the most exciting season of ghost hunting we've had in our career.
I would say this episode alone is probably one of the most exciting of my ghost hunting career.
Yes, we went to the Haunted Hill House in Mineral Wells, Texas. We stayed in a real old hotel.
The Crazy Water Hotel.
Crazy Water Hotel.
It's known because this town is known for its crazy water. It's mineral water that goes up in scale by numbers. There's like Crazy Water 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 being the highest concentration of mineral content, and it tasted like
metal.
Like someone had melted chalk into a bottle.
Yeah, it was good. It was very minerally.
Very chalky.
It was hard for me to tell if the town was really boring or if it just rained, because it was rainy. So
yeah.
we didn't really get, not when we were shooting, but we didn't get out too much.
No.
But it looked like a little boring town. There wasn't much going on.
I walked around the little town in the rain. I went to a thrift store.
You did?
I did.
You didn't even tell me about that.
I looked at some knives.
As for the house itself, just stuff all over the walls.
Yeah.
Little dolls. You could tell that they were like, yeah, we got ghosts.
This place was Ghost or Us.
Yeah.
It was positively packed.
That's right.
I'm serious. I honestly was so scared about this episode being so packed that I thought people were, for once, actually, it's a badge of honor if you guys accuse us of fabricating evidence, because some of it is that unbelievable. But before we get into that evidence, let's take a look at a little sneak peek of our new show, Road Files, which looks behind the scenes of Ghost Files. Enjoy. The night before, you need to do everything you can to stay up as long as possible so that the next night you're used to it. And furthermore, so that the next day you wake up later in the day. Say like, if we stay up till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, you'll wake up around 11 a.m., hopefully 12 p.m. Sometimes people on our crew are very much morning routine people and they wake up like 8 a.m. no matter what, and that kind of sucks because then they just have 4 hours of sleep. But in this particular night, we did what we normally do. It's called, I don't even know if I want to say the name of it. We have a lot of names for what this night is. There's been names thrown around. We're gonna keep that to us. Okay, we can't show you everything or tell you everything rather. But what we usually will do is we will all gather in one hotel room, play things like Mafia, have some beers, talk about life, watch funny YouTube videos. I think on this particular night, Shane showed us this very cultured 20-minute compilation of a guy farting on people in public. Not really farting, but using a fart machine in a realistic way.
Oh, that's fun. And we've got behind the scenes coming up for every episode. So if you want to keep along for the journey, head over to Watcher TV.
See how the sausage is made.
That's right. And we're making some sausages.
Anyways, if you've seen the episode, this place obviously was quite active. Without further ado, why don't we go ahead and unpack the evidence, Shane? Something you love doing so much.
Sure.
And you certainly won't just say, I don't care.
No, I do care. Okay.
First piece of evidence we're going to be talking about is the whistle in the living room.
I don't even remember this.
That scans. Strange whistling noise.
Door, basically.
What was that?
Door, basically.
What was that? Now that's a slight whistle.
Yeah, that's really faint. I guess even when you have a lot of like good stuff, you still are kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Not scraping the bottom of the barrel. I'm actually giving you a couple softballs to get your confidence up so that when we get to the good stuff, you have to admit what is there.
I got it, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's really faint.
That could have been literally just like wind blowing over like
I don't know what
unopened,
that
like a
was.
bottle.
Yeah.
You know, like a. It's a pretty good impression of wind over a bottle. Let me do that again.
I'd like to do this with you. You know when you get a couple guys together,
Yeah.
like you and me, and you get a bunch of bottles with different water in them, and you play them together?
Yeah. That's what you're doing right now?
Yeah, we could be doing that together.
Well, with that movement, you could do a lot more.
You know what, though? Remember Greta?
I do remember. How could
I
I
don't
forget
know if
Greta?
it's very clear in the episode, but she's got a sign on her that's, what does it say? I can talk and whistle.
And whistle. And then we were...
Which is an insane thing.
We were kind of exploring the possibility of a porcelain
Talk and
doll
whistle.
using their porcelain lips to whistle.
Was it Greta whistling is a question. Was she like,
Guys, who are these studs?
Yeah, she's doing whistle while you work over there. I don't know if that was Greta. I have to say, a pretty weak whistle.
canonically that's Greta's voice, right?
The only thing that canonically happened at this place is the fact that you seem to always behead dolls.
That was a full
It's the
accident.
second time. If I had a nickel for every time you beheaded a doll, I'd have two, but it is odd that you've done it twice now.
Oh, well, okay, all right.
Next, we got the noise on the stairs. It was kind of like a clicking noise. Do you remember this?
No.
Okay, let's watch it. Mistress. Oh! Oh, shit! Whoa, what the fuck was that? Did you hear that?
That was a weird.
Oh! Oh, shit! It sounded like an animal, almost like a...
That sounds like one of those little snakes in Prometheus.
I have to say, putting on my skeptic hat,
There it goes.
there was a lot of weird toys up there.
There were a lot of toys.
So maybe it was just a little toy going...
Yeah.
I could say you could mark that as a toy. If you're really pressing me...
But you have to wonder, like, is it a toy that is... Because we have run across toys where, like, you wind them up and then, like, maybe there's a little wind in them. Sometimes they do stuff. But I don't know what would have motivated the toy to make a noise.
Sometimes motion sensor
I guess if
toys.
we're moving around and the slight movements from
I will
them.
say we did not hear that sound the rest of the night, though.
No, that's
So,
true.
I don't know what the hell that was. It could be some sort of strange animal, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you something here. I don't know. I mean, other. You know,
You don't
I
have to give me anything. I don't know what it
I
was.
think you're gonna need the help.
It could be a million things before it's a ghost, because it's not a ghost. So
Well,
it's
I would love
one of
to-
those million things.
I'd love to hear what you think this next thing is, because now we're gonna talk about.
I
maybe
may
one of-
not have an answer.
It's
because
one of the scariest things we've ever captured on this show, and of course, it's that horrifying growl that I heard.
I know. And I'll say before we
in
show
Jacob's
this,
room.
it's fun because I genuinely did not hear any of this going on.
Well, when we-
I heard movement,
Yeah.
because I heard you sort of jump around, and then
Yeah.
I knew that you were like moving around a bit. But I had my eyes closed for a lot of it. I was not privy to what was going on.
You had the Spirit Box headphones on because we were running an Estes method. You actually thought originally when I told you the noise happened that it was coming from the Spirit Box, which is definitely not.
Do you know what I realized with the Spirit Box is I don't know if it's occasionally picking up sound from our mics.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll hear you very faintly, or like I think in this moment I did hear our mics picking that up because I
That's
definitely heard like a scraping noise, like a very faint one, which is why I was like, "Are you sure it didn't come from here?" Because I also heard something very faint.
Yeah.
Around the time that
That's
movement
never happened to me, but either way, I think it's safe to say, won't you agree, that
There's
did
a
not-
noise.
that did not come from the Spirit
No,
Box.
it didn't. No,
Okay,
no.
I just wanted to get that clear
No, no.
before we show this clip. You know anything about a shadow man, Jacob?
All day.
What the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? Oh my god, all the hair is standing up on my arm right now. You know anything about a shadow man, Jacob?
All day.
What the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? My heart is actually beating quite fast right now.
Just revisiting.
I'm taken back to how scared I truly was in that moment. It was one of those moments that is very rare on a ghost investigation or a paranormal investigation where something happens that's so exciting that you really can't wait to review it later.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's so rare that something happens on location that you could hear, especially when two people could hear it. And so the fact that Mark, our director, heard it, as well as me in the room, I was so stoked. Now hearing it back, I don't know what else that could possibly be, but other than something
But
in
a
that-
ghost.
something in that room with us.
No, yeah,
There's a
I mean-
demonic presence said to be in this house. A lot of it centers around this kind of area. This is actually the room right next to where they unfortunately discovered the body of that young boy outside hanging. And this happened literally right next to it. And it was when I was trying to get to the bottom of what happened to the boy, because people don't really know what happened to the boy. And so I was asking questions about, like, I want to figure this out. And that's what happened. And I genuinely would like to hear what you think.
Now, I want to be clear when I just like throw things out there. That is in keeping with me being like, we basically have no idea what it is.
I know.
Conclusively, we cannot look at this and be like, it's any of these things. I don't want it to see like I'm scrambling and just being like, oh, it could be this or this or this. But that's genuinely my ethos with this is like, logically.
That's a lovely explanation, but here's what I'm saying.
Yes.
I think it's a ghost.
I know that you
all
think
I want to hear from you is, what do you think it could be reasonably?
I don't know the house that well.
Imagine it's any house. What kind of household item could produce that kind of noise out of nowhere?
Any kind of ventilation could make noises like that. Something outside rubbing up against a house could make that. A branch rubbing against a house could make that. See, this is the thing. Like, there's a lot of things it could be. And the more I list, the more you go, oh boy, he's really scrambling. But that's the fact of it.
But the fact that you're saying you're scrambling doesn't negate the fact that you are scrambling.
No, I'm not scrambling. I'm just saying the more things it could be, the less likely that it's a ghost.
But what if none of those things seem plausible?
Those are all extremely plausible.
Well, there was no ventilation. I can tell you that.
There's no ventilation in this house.
No. The air conditioning unit was the one thing they had, and I checked it. It was unplugged.
Okay, well, there's one thing out of a million.
A tree brushing up against the house. There was no tree that had branches that could have touched the house.
A possum.
A possum, sure. It could have been
off the roof.
It could have been a possum
scraping off the roof,
using its the roof to rub its belly.
I mean, I'm saying stranger things have happened.
It doesn't sound quite like anything from the outside. It had a breathy quality that sounded like it was in the room. I'm so sad
that I had the headphones on.
Yeah,
I would have loved to have heard it.
No, honestly, I genuinely wish you didn't, because I would have been curious what you would have thought in the moment, because it was so clear. Like, and I mean, there was a bunch of things that happened later.
I mean, it's beautiful that I had the headphones on. Let's be clear.
Not. It's not beautiful. It's actually tragic.
A little bit.
Moving on to the next piece of evidence, we're going to Joshua's room that is upstairs, right across the hall, actually, from our guy Toby, who's the demon.
Toby.
Joshua's room, we did hear this very loud bang, and well, we could play it. One more time. Joshua, did you like being in this?
What was that? I genuinely don't know what that was.
What the fuck, dude?
Now that, I gotta say, I enjoyed this episode very much.
Yeah.
I can't remember when in the night we shot this.
This was later in the night.
Because it doesn't even, on camera, sound as loud as it did in the room. Because maybe also because I was sitting right next to
where it seemed to be coming from.
Where it was coming from. So that, as you see in the episode when we open that door behind me, it is sort of like half of an attic on a sloped roof. It was pretty loud, and I was thrilled because like a noise
clearly the laugh you give out right there.
A lot of times I feel like I'm, trying to be like, that was pretty scary, Ryan, right?
Yeah.
Are you scared?
Yeah.
Didn't have to do any of that on this hunt because we had a lot of these very strange, loud clunks and clonks going on. This one, I think I can pretty firmly just chalk up to, gosh, I don't know, a twig.
I don't know about a twig, but I do think this one is...
A chestnut falling on the roof.
Yeah.
The fact that the roof was right back there, I'm like, not unheard of for things to fall.
Mineral Wilds, Texas, known for its native chestnut trees.
Who knows?
In this particular case, your explanation of a possum is high. I mean, I would buy that for this. Because that goes back to what I was saying about the weird little noise before.
Yeah.
Like maybe there was some sort of animal up there.
Possibly.
Which is also, I was thinking about that during my solo, or for a brief moment before things started to really go off the rails.
Cuckoo.
I thought there's probably some sort of animal up there, so I gotta watch out.
Yeah.
That sounded like something falling on the roof, honestly. It was loud enough, but I could possibly buy that would be something outside, mainly just because the bang happens not in accordance with anything I'm asking.
Right.
Like we're trying to get a response on the Busaby, which we did get a response on.
Having said that, and look, I charged in there head first into that little room because I'm a ghost hunter, baby.
You're brave.
I had a moment of trepidation where as I was opening the door, I was like, maybe there's a wild animal in here. Because it was like loud enough that I was like, it's coming from that room. There may be something in there.
If you put your head in there,
yeah,
and you legitimately saw a little boy's face, would you scream? Like, I really want you to put yourself in the moment.
I think I'd say, what are you doing?
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't scream? You wouldn't scream? Are you kidding me?
I don't know. I mean, I think in the instance of outside of the one frog that went blurp, like
Yes.
in this situation where there's a loud noise directly behind me, all I did was laugh. Like when presented with a little boy, I might just be like, what, excuse me? But I guess we'll never know unless it finally happens.
Either way, I mean, the growl was happening when I was asking questions about what actually happened to this boy, which I could see that response being warranted by. Moving on to the next piece of evidence, we're going to the Toby doll singing, and this is actually in the Toby room across the hall, the demonic
Toby room.
Let's just go ahead and play the clip. On the way to change our batteries for the next investigation, we captured this chilling moment. Wait, hold on, everyone be quiet.
What's this thing?
What set
it off?
No one was in here.
Was it this?
No, it was this.
No, there's a little
it
thing
was
in here.
this little girl on the. This play.
Were you recording still?
No, I just started recording.
Did you get?
I panned over to the very end of it when it was going.
It was still
on.
going?
Yeah.
Could you go over to that? And this is in Toby's room. We were just in between takes. That went off somehow in this room. No one was in there.
How do you even set it off?
I don't even. What is that?
I don't even know how. I honestly don't.
Lots to wonder about this
Much
doll.
to wonder. Much
So
to wonder. This is not S tier evidence because there's a lot at play here that we don't know about.
And also, I just want to say, this happens a lot on Ghost Files. Unfortunately, there are moments where we have to stop all of our cameras, change the batteries, change the cards. So that usually takes about 5 minutes. And sometimes things happen during that 5-minute period. And this was one of those times where unfortunately something happened and we were like, oh, fuck, everyone turn your cameras on. And Shane is like the only one who actually has just a handy cam in his hand. So luckily he was able to record the tail end of this thing going off on its own. We tried a long time to figure out what sets this thing off.
It was hard to tell because as soon as we went up to it, then
Well, because it's not EMF triggered, which sometimes these objects are. It's definitely not motion. We smacked it a couple of
we
times.
smacked it, we moved it. But then when we went back up to it, eventually it did go off again.
Yes.
But we weren't near it
When it first went off.
The first time it went off, which I don't know, maybe it's very sensitive to movement. But we had been walking around up there for a while.
And you can actually hear when we go into that room to investigate the noise, our motion sensor goes off immediately once we walk in.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when I'm up there alone, it goes off again, and it startled the shit out of me and almost made me pee my
And
pants.
now we know for sure that the owners of this house, because they were on site but in a different building.
They were in an RV. Moving on to the last piece of evidence, and once again, it is crazy that we got 2 pieces of evidence in this house that are among the best I've ever experienced in person. This is like what you would call a Class A EVP. I was in the room. It sounded like there was somebody in the room with me. I was asking questions about what happened to Jacob, and I get this incredibly clear, he's dead.
He's fucking cooked, man.
Let's hear it. I'm very scared right now, so if you're scared, just know I'm really scared too. Nothing on the camera. What the fuck? I just heard a really loud voice that said he's dead. Nothing on the camera. Nothing on the camera. What the fuck? Who's dead?
Now this is classic Ghost Files. You know, I don't hear he's dead there at all.
But do you hear a voice?
We certainly hear something.
I genuinely thought you were messing with me, because the only other time
I know,
I've
we
heard...
did hear you outside. I mean, you can look at the footage of me sitting outside just sort of laughing and being bewildered. I don't think I've messed with you on this show ever.
The
have I?
one time that you messed with me in terms of faking a voice, we show it. It's in Pythian Castle.
Missouri.
In Missouri, you found out that the pipes led all the way down to the tunnel that I was
And that was funny.
And that was the only other time that I...
Perfectly legal.
It was the only other time that I actually heard a voice crystal clear.
Yeah.
And this time, And I think I would have actually had a stronger reaction
If you thought, if you knew
if I
it wasn't
knew
me.
it wasn't you. Because had you not done the Pythian thing before, I would have been like, oh, this is a fucking ghost. It had the same kind of breathy quality, and it wasn't actually even in the room I was in. I could tell it was coming from somewhere else in the house. That's how loud it was.
The tricky thing about it too is it doesn't sound like a toy.
No.
Yeah, this is clearly somewhere else in the house.
I thought about this a long time after I left this house. It's truly one of the scariest things that's ever happened to me in my entire life.
This house had a vibe to it.
Honestly, it might be the scariest thing that's happened to me in one of these investigations. Because
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot going on in this house to the point where I was a little dubious of were the people who were on site, were they messing with us somehow? Do they have this place like rigged up to actually mess with us
And
a
that's-
little bit? They
honestly,
told us they did not.
that's the biggest compliment that Shane could give to a haunted house.
That's true.
The fact that he is actually saying, there's a part of me that wonders, were they messing with us? That's how good the evidence was. And the fact that this happened while I was alone, I'm surprised I didn't die on the spot.
Yeah, me too.
I truly think this is like maybe the first piece of evidence we've captured in the entire series that will challenge skeptics. That'll make them at least go, okay, I don't know about that one. That's pretty interesting.
I mean, I think it's fun. I don't think any of these are ghosts, but
Well,
I think you know, as a spooky place goes that's making bumps in the night, pretty good spot.
it's pretty good. Haunted Hill
spot.
House.
Yeah.
Not my favorite, but in the moment, my favorite now though. Anyways, lots of evidence, but if we did miss something and you guys saw it, please drop it in the comments. Let us know. We'll review it later formally. Moving right along, this week we want to bring on one of our crew members to talk about their own experience investigating the Hill House. Please welcome Mark Celestino, the director of Ghost Files.
Yeah. Hi, Mark.
Boy. Oh,
Good to see you.
Hello. I'm always like,
You're quoting yourself from the show.
weirded out.
That's right. Mark is the voice in those graphic explainers.
Hello.
Oh yeah, there's
honey
like,
tone.
there's one where I said, hello.
Hello.
So, Mark, you were here with us as you are
Yeah.
on all of our investigations here at the Hill House.
Every single one.
What were your thoughts of Mineral Wells, Texas?
Man, this location is probably the most active I've ever
It's
seen.
got to be, right?
I'm trying to think of another place that was crazier than this.
It's so active, but to me, I wasn't like scared. If ever, I was excited.
Let's just get right to it, Mark.
Yeah.
We actually hear your voice in this episode.
Yeah.
He was in the room.
After the
I was in
growl.
there.
Could you describe what this growl sounded like?
If it was an animal, I think it's bigger than a possum. It just sounds like
A dog.
sounds like at least like minimal size of dog.
Texas dog.
But I genuinely don't know. That was the first time where I was like, that was a growl, and I don't know what that was.
What do you think in terms of the point of origin of the sound? Do you think did it sound like it came from outside the house, or did it sound like it came from the room?
It sounds like it was by that window exactly, because we both looked at
the window,
The window,
yeah, that
because
was-
we knew it was coming from there.
That's why I thought it was there was an AC unit by the window, and I was like, okay, my first thought, and I got really actually like deflated because I was like, oh shit, it's probably from this AC unit. And when I went over there, the AC unit was unplugged, and I was like, sick, nice. But the window was boarded up too, so
Yeah.
it definitely sounded like it came from the room. When there is something that's in the room and it's coming from a mouth, whether it's a human or an animal, there is a breathy quality to it that is hard to kind of.
That's a good point.
Sexy. You know.
Like you could if you hear something coming from behind a wall, there's something about it that like you could hear the noise, but the quality of it isn't as if it was in the room.
Right.
Yeah. That's probably the most scared I've ever seen Ryan on camera. And I've seen you scared many times.
Well, most of the time it's because the times I've been the most scared on camera, I'm alone. It's like
That's
a solo
true.
investigation.
When I feel bad, but when I saw you scared, I was just suddenly excited. I was like, oh, we got something.
You were in full Nightcrawler mode.
Yeah.
When you were just looking through looking through the viewfinder going, yes, look at it, he's freaking out.
Exactly.
But I will say, when hearing your voice, when you say I heard that, there does seem to be at least a little bit of fear. Or it could just be like, I heard that. Like,
I think he also, Mark, similar to me, probably wants to preserve your fear.
That's
To
true.
the best of his ability.
Well,
I don't do a great job at that because I usually laugh at stuff. But
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, whenever he gets scared, I just kind of back off and
Yeah.
let Ryan do his thing.
But I'm glad that you gave me the feedback. Because also it was undeniable in the moment.
I do notice when you're actually really scared,
Yeah.
you try to look at me and talk to me.
Well, because
A little bit.
I
You
need
Yeah.
to verify that I'm not losing my mind, and like
That's true.
that in that particular case, it would have been such a gaslight if you were like, "Oh, I didn't hear anything at all." I would have been like, "You're out of your fucking mind, dude. That was the loudest thing we've ever
was
heard on
loud.
one of these things."
It was loud.
And just unfortunate that he had his headphones on, because I'm genuinely curious. What do you think his reaction would have been had he been in the room?
It's probably going to be the same as the bump, because you were like just instantly laughing when that happened.
Yeah.
I think you would probably go towards the sound, right?
What do you think you would? Do you think you would have laughed at this one?
I imagine I would
Louder,
have
even.
made a beeline to try and figure out what it is.
Yeah.
If you had to explain it as a non-ghost thing, what are things that come to mind?
Maybe it's the owner outside growling.
That would be the only thing I could think of, and even then, it
Yeah.
didn't sound like it came from outside.
I
so.
genuinely can't think of anything that could make that noise in that specific area.
Same. I'm genuinely stumped by it.
To give you guys credit, Mark is about as skeptical as I am.
In this particular case, I actually am stumped to the point where like I really do think there's.
that's
a
great, that's very
fucking
exciting.
Ghost. It's a ghost. Because I've heard growls on other ghost shows too, and
You've heard growls on other ghost
Yeah,
shows?
there's
What
always-
kind of growl?
They got growls?
they don't sound like this.
This is our first
They-
growl,
what do
right?
they sound
I'd put
like?
this up against any of them.
What do those growls sound
They
like?
don't. No, just kind of like a. Like
Like that?
Like
That's a weak.
It's weak.
Yeah.
It's weak songs.
So we got
This
good.
was like a snarl.
I think this shit. This is that
shit
stuff.
fucking hits.
This is that stuff that really kicks.
Yeah.
That's why I got excited.
You got a favorite episode this season?
This episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not one of the ones that's coming up later.
Oh wait.
No.
You know what? No.
The season finale, dude.
I mean, I love this episode, but I don't think it's my favorite. I just realized.
No, the
You're
season
right.
finale is a banger.
Oh, because
The
of
finale.
what we do.
Oh,
Yeah.
it gives me chills just thinking about it. It's great.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I
does
wish
it.
he was.
He's got
playing-
goosebumps.
I wish he was playing it up.
It's
but
literal.
It is going to be good. I also injure myself in that episode. I guess you'll have to figure out how, but I do injure myself.
Yeah.
Wait, you injured yourself?
Yeah.
Testicular torsion.
All right, maybe that's my time.
Yeah, I think
that's my cue. All right,
See you,
bye.
Mark.
And now we move on to Qua. That's the question and answer section where we answer questions directly from you, the viewers at home. We're throwing this to future Ryan and Shane, who are out right now enjoying the Ghost Files tour, because that's when these episodes are airing, and that's when we'd actually be able to answer your guys' Qua. So let's join future Ryan and Shane right now. Whoa! We caught it. Nice catch. Thank you all at home for joining us on Qua, where we answer questions directly from you guys, the viewers.
And our
at
first
home.
question comes from Marby Katrina Guico. Marby says, is this the episode mentioned in the Watcher podcast where Ryan has nightmares after they're shooting for Ghost Files?
Yes.
This is your nightmare episode.
This is the nightmare episode. This place really disturbed me, if you couldn't tell. I apologize for the incessant cursing in this episode. I have to say, I watching it back, I didn't realize I was cursing that much. I was trying to keep myself sane.
He was, and as mentioned, and probably you're noticing the reason why we are shooting this debrief in segments is because we are currently on and off the road for Ghost Files Live.
That's correct.
And I've never been more conscious of the fact that we're vulgar, awful people than when, a little 11-year-old walks up to the mic at the end for the
That's
Q&A
correct.
and says, you guys are my heroes. I want to be a ghost hunter when I grow up.
That's not
know?
how they sounded. By the way, we did actually have somebody, an 11-year-old named Piper, who visited us from Kansas City. She drove down from Kansas City.
No, was that in Denver?
That was in Denver.
That's a hike. Just to see you talk about Eeyore getting plowed. Is that what
I didn't say he got plowed. I said he got banged.
Right.
But
Did
the
you
thing is-
genuinely have nightmares about this
I did
stuff?
have nightmares about this episode. The week that followed after, I just couldn't get my mind off of the
You heard voices.
I heard voices. The history of the house is incredibly dark, like incredibly dark. And that was a lot for me to handle because I really dove into the details and trying to find these ghosts in there. So yeah, it was a lot.
I slept like a baby.
Let's move to the next questione from Bradley Bug. Shane, you genuinely seem a little rattled at times in this ep. I'm curious to know how, from a skeptic's point of view, how the mood of this location compares to other spooky sites you've visited. If it's different, what do you think made it that way?
I would say that if you picked up on me seeming a little more rattled than might just be sort of a misinterpretation. And honestly, by the time we get out there to shoot the actual episodes, the history of the place, it's gone. I don't remember. I mean, some things I'll remember, Big Dick Tom.
Yeah, sure, you can't forget him. As far as you're concerned, though, we're not talking to the people that are in the aforementioned horrible history anyway. We're just in a building.
I do genuinely try when we hear a sound or something. I sometimes like to feed into your fear. Mm-hmm. And I know that if I'm just there going, oh, what a bunch of bullshit, I don't think that's a ghost. Like that, I don't think is conducive toward making you feel the real emotions that you feel. So sometimes I like to be a little like, oh, what do you think that was?
Yeah, but if you had heard the growl, I'm so sad you didn't hear it.
You heard the growl and you spent 2.5 minutes staring at it being like, I think it was from over there.
Yeah, it's because I didn't want to go investigate because I knew whatever made that noise is still there probably.
This is crazy.
I didn't do that. That sounds like I was doing something else.
All right, our next question comes from Mary Glittenberg. Hello, great episode to see in Denver live.
Well, thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming. My story was voted scariest story in Denver for Too Many Spirits.
That's what I was about to say. The name looked familiar. I was like, you had a crazy story.
And I'll be riding that highway longer than I should. I love it. For Debrief, a lot of evidence in this episode came from children's areas or more talking to children ghosts. Do you think there would be reasons behind that, or children having an easier time reaching out, etc.? My thought on this, before you get into your believer's view, is that children their brains aren't formed fully. Children are scared of things and see things and are scared of ghosts in the dark and stuff like that.
I think when children are alive and not ghouls, it's said that they're a little bit more in tune with anything from the paranormal world.
Why would that be?
It's similar to like what you maybe said. It's that they're new to this world. There's an innocence to them. Even like dogs or animals are said to be a little bit more in tune with that kind of stuff. I think they're just a little more observant, less of a filter. That's kind of what's going on, I think. Moving on, Maisie Thompson. Question for the debrief. Did you guys try squeezing the doll who sings? Maybe that's what sets off the singing. Not a rocking motion or jostling like those little teddy bears that sing like Happy Birthday. That doll was freaky. Thanks for the great episode, Team Watcher. We actually...
You're welcome.
Oh, you're welcome. So,
we did
we jostled
see me
it.
in the episode.
We jostled it. We gave it a good jostle.
Yeah. Slapped it around a few times.
That's right. And nothing happened.
Nothing happened. Our next question is from Mike Rundle. Were the sounds/voices heard during Ryan's solo picked up with Ryan's mic or an enhanced audio device? I guess the question is, were they just from the mic that you had on you that we use for your normal voice, or was it from the EVP?
Both. Both the voices in the carousel room and the growl itself were so loud that they were picked up on like not only just my mic that was like, my lav, like we're wearing a lav right here like this, or the little audio recorder that I'm carrying around. It's just an audio recorder. It's not like a special piece of ghost hunting equipment. People use it to record lectures. It just has a very, very intense microphone. But also like the camera mics on our GoPro, on like the one that that Mark, or the director of the show, holds. Like it was picked up on all of those things. That's how loud this thing was. And that's not always the case. Sometimes we have to really pump the gain or the volume up on my little audio recorder to hear things. But in this particular case, we heard it in the room. So that's really rare. This next question comes from Ashley Taylor. Thank you for sending this question. Hearing a disembodied whistle has been believed to be a sign of everything from good luck to shape-shifting demons, depending on culture and belief. Is there any kind of wives' tales, folklore, or ritual like knocking on wood or throwing salt over your shoulder for good luck that you believed at some point, or even to this day, that still holds true to you? #Bergara. Interesting thing about whistling. When we were in Santa Fe, we were told to not whistle there at night. I'm not really sure what it is. No one was really like straight with us about why we can't do that. I didn't do it.
But then we were even in a bar in Albuquerque,
and they said the same
after
thing.
the live show, and someone whistled, and everyone in the bar was like, "Hey!"
Then they stabbed that person to death, and I was like,
They brought
"That's
them out
why
into the
you don't
street,
whistle."
and they stoned them like
Nothing
in the lottery.
supernatural. People just hate the sound of it. They'll kill you. But is there something I believe superstition-wise? I believe in a jinx. If I'm watching my precious and annoying Chargers and they're kicking a field goal, and I'll be like, I bet you he's gonna make this, I would believe that the field goal would, miss because of me.
That's weird.
It's like some Silver Linings Playbook kind of stuff there.
Yeah. I like doing the salt thing just because it's fun to throw salt over.
From Dumb and Dumber?
Well, yeah, they throw the whole thing in there. But you ever do that growing up?
No, I didn't. But when I was growing up, I did believe the step on a crack, break your mother's back.
Did your mother's back break?
so many times.
Really?
No, I'm just kidding. That's because I never stepped on a crack.
Our next question comes from Elvis.
What a great episode. Really a fantastic way to start this new season. I hope you acknowledge Shane's comment about the growl he heard through the spirit box when you guys do the debrief. Question for debrief. I know there's a lot of large bugs flying around this time around. Are they able to trigger the REM pod or a new Boo Subi?
Oh, it's Ivis? Scroll up. Oh, it's Ivis. E-I-V-I-S. So the bugs, do they trigger the Busubi or the REM pod?
Now I can't think of how, if Elvis had a ghost hunting show, that would be the best fucking thing. Because if he hears something go,
Come on, dude. Come on. I got you, dude. What are you?
Do the bugs?
No, I don't think so.
Have you done tests with bugs? Have you locked yourself in a room with the REM pod and the Busubi and a bunch of bugs?
I haven't seen a bug trigger it. I haven't seen anything online of a bug triggering it. And to be fair, these places are infested with bugs. Most of our static cams will actually pick up like flies or dust or things flying around, and those don't trigger our motion alarms or...
I'd be curious if a spider would trigger the Busubi.
You'll have to catch one and put it on top of it.
Can I do that? Would that be fun?
Feels wrong, but you could.
All right, next question from Joel Robinson. Wow, the house is very busy with noises. I like the no walkie-talkie thing, and I love the challenges because to me, challenges represent one of my favorite things about this show, and that's the fact that it is fueled by them annoying each other. Chef's kiss. Is there gonna be some sort of penalty for Ryan skipping a challenge, like an extension on his solo time? Don't let him get away with it, Shane. Hashtag Shaniac, hashtags don't make sense here, hashtag doing it anyway.
Here's the thing. I'll do a challenge if it only affects me. I'm not gonna give my address away and invite a demon to come infest my home with my wife and my little furry child, aka the Vinny Man, aka the Pee-Pee Man.
I'm gonna fess up right now and say that I get really annoyed with the challenges.
Oh yeah, we're in post right now on episode 3, I believe.
Yeah, that's the most annoyed I ever was with the challenges.
And boy, does he not like those challenges, folks. He really doesn't. You'll see what I mean.
Just seething contempt for them.
I tried my best to annoy him, and I pushed it. I pushed it. Because here's the thing, he doesn't get scared. There's no point in making him do scary things. It's like wasting tape. It's wasting airtime.
And also, like, the thing is, I like to goof around and have fun at these things, but it's sort of like when someone asks you to, like, do an impression.
I know.
You know?
And I know you don't like it.
Where you're like, okay, now goof around and do this funny thing, and I'm like, I don't want to!
That's very good. He gets very angry.
I get real mad. But I still have a good time. There is no penalty for you at the end of the season, unfortunately.
Hey, look.
But if you out there think that we should come up with a penalty system for next season, we're open to your ideas because I do think there should be. I think it should be retroactive.
No.
Yes,
not retroactive.
I do. Yes, I do.
No retroactive. I will agree to a penalty as long as it only involves me. The challenges, that is, involve me and not my family.
I think you should do a Ouija board session with Vinny.
No.
And offer up his soul to Beelzebub.
That's like the direct opposite of what I just said. It should not involve my family, and then you said I should offer up his soul to a demon.
I'm going to do it on next season. I'm going to offer up Vinny's soul.
Hey, you do whatever you want in your solo. The demon knows you're not his keeper. I'm his keeper.
All right.
I'm his papa. And last question we have here. We have a question from Toby Deep.
Toby Deep.
Toby.
Let me
actually read this how I think Toby sounds. Toby's a very intimidating name in my humble opinion. But if you were a demon, what name would you pick? There is something intimidating about a demon that just has a normal name. Like Steve the Goat Man or Toby. What would your demon name be?
I don't want like a human name, I don't think. It would have to be something...
Bone Stilts?
Skazfantoose. S-K-A-Z-Z space F-A-N-T-O-O-S-E. Because it's a full legal name. Bethesda's Starfield. It's the name of my character. Skazfantoose.
What would mine be? I could go like old-timey like Bathsheba or something like that, and something in that vein like Vispustus.
Vispustus.
That's right.
Skazfantoose and Vispustus.
Or I could do something like, I could just name myself Beetlejuice.
You can't do that.
And they'll be like, no, not that one.
That's not allowed.
What if I just made my demon name LeBron James?
You should do that.
Because then I could be the LeBron James of demons.
You're literally the LeBron James of demons.
It'd be awesome. Alrighty, before we hop into part 2 of Qua, with some questions pulled from our friends over on YouTube, I've got 2 pieces of evidence I wanted to address.
Oh, you got 2 this week, huh?
That's right. Well, in addition to the other ones that we already had.
Oh, wow.
That you, our eagle-eyed viewers on Watcher TV, spotted.
What do we got?
Both of these were pointed out a couple of times, but at Sparrows, we spotted your comment first. This takes place when we were up in Toby's room doing the spirit box. At Sparrows says, quote, 4314 sounded like Toby. Let's roll the clip.
This is Toby? Incredible. This guy's cool. This guy parties.
It does, you almost do hear a T at the beginning though, so I'll give you that. That's a fun, almost, yeah. If I believed in ghosts, I would say, yeah, that's Toby. And not just a radio scanner, but.
But you don't believe in ghosts.
So it's a radio scanner. I'm picking up.
Yeah, I mean, look, I could see where it would sound like that.
Yeah.
But it's not like the stronger pieces of evidence that we got.
I think it's fairly strong.
It's strong,
It says
but
toe.
well, compared to like the Class A EVPs that we got from Thin Air, I think that this is like, for this particular episode, anywhere else, that spirit box response, I'd be doing backflips. But in this particular episode, you could be picky, which is nice. But either way, thank you for pointing this out.
Okay, on to our second piece of evidence. Like Ryan said, this was also mentioned a couple of times in the comments, but Robin Coleman is who caught our attention. Let's roll this one.
Ow, fucking Jesus Christ.
Thank you for sending this one in, Robin. This one we do have to, unfortunately, debunk, but very keenly spotted by you.
Yes.
This did take some snooping around on our part, but after scrubbing through some of the footage, we found another angle of looking into that room, and what you're actually seeing here is light reflecting off of a velvety little chair and the arm of the sofa next to it. Here's a still of that shot.
So,
You can see that chair right there.
yeah. So not a very good spot, honestly.
Debunking is not a bad thing. It just improves the evidence that you
That's
did
true.
catch. So thank you for posting.
All jokes aside, good catch. It did look like a figure.
It did, and we saw a lot of you guys pointing this out, so thank you.
Even though when I saw it, I was like, it's a fucking chair.
You never said that.
That's what I said.
So thank you to Robin and everybody else in the comments who pointed out this figure. Unfortunately, it didn't work out this time, but keep your eyes peeled in the future and make sure to always point these things out.
On to Qua Part 2. Ryan, what's first up on the docket, mon frere?
Okay, our first question is from @NYGrasshopper9171, who wants to ask both of us, what was your favorite/least favorite room there? I gotta say the room that I felt the most unnerved in was Jacob's room, which is where I heard the growl. It was also right next to where Jacob was found, when they found his body. So that room was not my favorite, and it was the one I felt the most eerie in. I think even in my solo, I went in there for a little bit and I tried to investigate. And I did for a small amount of time, and I was like, I can't do it.
The suicide bathroom really.
Okay, yeah, that place was unpleasant too.
It had a funny sign above it that really
It said suicide bathroom.
said suicide bathroom.
Just in case you forgot.
And
where you
sort of had the vibes of a live, laugh, love sign.
Yeah. Except kind of the
Except it
opposite.
said suicide bathroom, which are 2 words you don't want to see next to each other.
No.
So that was my favorite room.
And then your least favorite?
Oh. I kind of liked them all. There wasn't really one in particular where I was like, this one's worse than the rest. Next question is from Spookalina. I'm curious if either of you feel like your fear or reactions were influenced by the environment at all, as the house is clearly set up as a haunted attraction, the singing doll especially. Do you feel that you may have been less tense or even experienced less ghostly occurrences if the house hadn't been set up with the intent for it to be a scary environment?
Good question. And I have to say, almost every location we've investigated, both on Unsolved and Ghost Files, is set up to be scary.
Yeah, even last year when we were at the the Magnolia Hotel.
Yeah.
They got a bunch of spooky dolls there. That almost makes me feel less jumpy.
Yeah.
Because there is a human touch to it.
Yeah.
I would rather have that than a place like St. Ignatius,
Yes.
where we walked up into a room that looked like a murderer had lived there in the 1960s and just like it's a squatter's paradise. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think in this particular case, because one of those things actually went off, it put a light on that. But in reality, every single place we've gone to has versions of this. So this is like not a new or exclusive thing to the Hill House.
Next question, Ryan.
Yes, at Clementine DeWitt 9022 writes, I'm assuming because it wasn't addressed that the voices that can be heard while Shane is seducing Big Tom was just the crew or something. Also, what did Shane think of the growl upon review of the footage? Love you guys. Yes, that actually was the crew, which is why we didn't address it. When Shane was doing his solo in there, I'm being interviewed by the crew outside, so you're probably that is just you hearing me, and that actually is verified by hearing the noise in the room and then going through all the mics to see, oh, is somebody actually talking at this moment? At that moment, I am talking, so that was me. What did you think of the growl?
There was a thing that was going on with the Estes speakers.
Yeah.
Where I don't know if they were, because this has happened before, where they'll just subtly pick up on a mic signal.
Yeah.
So I was hearing the usual like radio scanning, but then as it was scanning, I also heard like a very faint growl, which is why I think on scene and maybe in the episode I had said like, are you sure it just wasn't my, because I heard like a from my thing, but then when we watched the footage, it's clearly not coming from me.
It was like he's trying to gaslight
No, I'm not. It clearly came from the room, and it was that weird thing where those were picking up on a signal from your mic or my mic.
Interesting.
So I wasn't terribly phased. I probably wouldn't have been phased anyway. I wish I didn't have the headphones on. I would have loved to.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if I had been there, I would probably run over to the window real quick, whereas you were like, let me just give this a quick 2.5 minutes. And then I'll pull that.
I mean, either way, if you'd run there right away, it was a boarded up window.
I know. I feel like I would have run outside or tried to get around to the other side of the wall to see if there was
You can't even move
a
that
little
quick.
critter out there.
You can't even move that.
I can move quicker.
By the time
than
you got out there, it'd be sunrise.
I can move quicker than you.
I don't think so. Moving on.
Scotty Man 2 wants to know, what would you do if Big D Tom done something? I love calling him Big D Tom.
Yeah, Big D Tom. And by done something, he's of course referring to Big D Tom sticking that finger.
Sticking a finger up there.
You probably would have went zoinks.
I sometimes you take your beloved pet to the vet.
Okay, I wasn't sure where you were going with it.
You know, they take their temperature at the vet, and like I don't know how Vinny reacts, but with Obi, he'll just be like, you know?
Yeah.
And you see him just do the whoop.
Well, I think you'd say something.
And then I'd say, well, it would be this. Go surreal.
Next question was submitted by @ab9719 for Debrief. Did you compare the growl noise heard on Shane's mic compared to the noise Ryan heard? Yeah, that growl was picked up on every mic, including the Mark's camera mic, which if you have a DSLR, you'll know that those aren't the greatest microphones.
It's such a weird noise because it does sound like a growl, but it also kind of sounds like someone like moving furniture really.
Someone said that I saw somebody say that,
or like
on YouTube,
closing, or like it's got sort of a wooden scrape almost.
Yeah, somebody on the YouTube comments, because I was on the YouTube comments when this premiered on YouTube. Somebody said it does sound kind of like a drawer being opened or closed.
Drawer-like, yes.
Even if that's the case, then that still begs the question.
It raises the question.
He hates that phrase. Who did that in the house? So either way, the noise was substantial enough that it had to come from something in that house. And it did sound like it was coming from the room. You could tell the quality of it is coming through a wall, whereas this
sounded like it was in the room.
Very clearly in the room.
In the room where it happened. Now let's move on to a very important question from Box 5 EV. But did you get any crazy water?
We did get crazy water.
We did. Tastes like pennies.
Yeah, we had crazy water 1 through 4.
Yes.
It goes up in terms of intensity of the mineral content.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot.
I didn't like crazy water 4. It was very kind of milky.
Metallic.
Yeah,
milky.
It was like milky. So I don't actually know if we've gotten this question before. This one comes from @Aruna5157. We often ask Shane what it would take to make him believe in ghosts, but is there anything that could happen to make Ryan no longer believe in ghosts?
How does it work? Like, it doesn't work like that way.
You can't unring the bell.
What if God appeared to you?
If God came down to Earth and was like, everything you saw was just the wind.
Yeah.
I'd be like, cool that you're here, and also, I guess
this is what you're making time for?
Yeah, I guess ghosts aren't real. He's like, big fan of Ghost Files. Just want to let you know, that was a drawer and it was me. At this point, I don't think there's anything that would make you believe.
Though-
There's the growl and the voices we heard in this place.
Though a
Pretty
bit of a
good.
tease on an upcoming podcast on Podwatcher, I debunked a bit of old evidence.
Oh yeah, it's pretty good.
It ends up being a lot more of a conversation than I expected. Okay, moving along. Next up is a question we had quite a few times in the comments. This one's from Agent P82. Do you know if any of these places have attempted to stage activity? No. The people we meet at these places always assure us that they, and you're pretty thorough with this, right?
I have conversations with all of these people, and everybody who I have met in the paranormal community are there to actually find evidence of the paranormal. It's a curiosity that we have. We all have the same kind of questions. So it is my assumption and belief that everyone we talk to is being truthful. And in this particular place, I found nothing to suggest the contrary to that.
I have no vested interest in not calling people out for this.
Even in Ghost Media at large, I've only seen one place. It was an episode of Ghost Hunters where they suspected that there was something going on in that house that was,
Did they catch him?
and they did catch him.
They did?
They did.
Did they like have an intervention?
No, but it was like a little device in a wall or something. The point being is you're gonna get caught if you do those things. So,
And we'll catch ya. We will.
and last up, we have another comment that we had popping up a lot. At Crypt W Peeps and at Gabby Rue Tempest 5695 both asked this right next to each other. If we're ever going to take things international, and the answer is yes. We did that this season. The back half of this season is actually going to be taking place entirely in the UK, one episode in Scotland,
3 bone-chilling episodes.
and 2 in England.
Yes, 2 in England, 1 in Scotland.
And some really cool locations here.
Yes.
We go to an underground tunnel system, we go to a castle, and then we go to a place where justice was served.
Some very fun stuff. The season finale of the season is one of my absolute favorite episodes.
I agree.
Maybe more so than the premiere.
Honestly, maybe. It's pretty... I'm excited for you guys to see the whole season, but especially the finale.
Yeah.
Well, that wraps up this investigation. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Ghost Files and Ghost Files Debrief. Remember to submit your questions for the next debrief in the comments of the episode and hashtag debrief.
And for more behind-the-scenes content, head on over to watchertv.com or hop on the app.
That's right. Watcher TV is where you can check out both the full episode of this week's Road Files as well as the Evidence Room, where you can watch a master compilation of all the incredible stuff we captured at the Haunted Hill House, including the stuff that did not make it into the episode because this one was packed full.
That's right. And if you're not already a Watcher TV member, join the Boo Crew by using the discount code in the description below to shave a little off of that yearly subscription. And you get to watch episodes a whole month early.
That's right.
Pretty good.
There's some eps already waiting for you there. See you guys next time.
Oh, yes. Bye.